everybody, this is Overpass Live. My name is Eric and I make apps. And I am late. I was rushing back to the office and I realized I wasn't going to make the 5 o'clock live stream, even though in the video today I said, today we're going to have the live stream. That was the first time I've ever said, hey, come to the live stream, and then I'm late. So I might still be having microphone problems. I bought a new microphone, which through Amazon Prime, which showed up just like I was trying to hook it up now, hoping it would just work out of the box, but it doesn't. So that's tomorrow's problem. And so I guess I'm a bit disheveled. So anyway, if you're new to joining us, this is our weekly live stream where we talk about whatever we want to talk about. We talk about technology, apps. We talk about what's going on with getting clients, getting work, all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, because of all the stuff that's going on at the moment, I'm gonna have to do a really short live stream today. It's going to be we'll probably keep it down to less than 30 minutes, just because, which is normally it's at least an hour, right? But because I'm late, I realize that not a lot of people are going to show up. So that's no problem. First of all, can you guys hear me? Okay, let's just make sure you guys can hear what I'm saying. So this week has been a busy week. Today I did a video of, well, I did it yesterday actually, but today was a video where I give my my revenue for 2019, which fell off a little bit, but I'm trying to get that back up. It was one of the reasons why I was talking to somebody today, and I talked about as a small business owner, sometimes things are going really well, and sometimes you have white knuckle months where you're like, ooh, I hope I make it through this month okay. I hope we can afford to pay everybody. I hope everybody can, I hope everything get through, and you're just like, it's like a roller coaster ride. You're like, ooh, and is this gonna work out? Am I gonna have to, get a job, put the CV out there, and that kind of stuff? But so far so good. I'm optimistic. We got a lot of jobs on at the moment, and a lot of stuff has come in, and I'm trying to keep up with all the quotes. Trying to keep up with the developers, trying to make sure that everybody's producing what they should. And I might be going a little bit off the deep end in terms of making sure the developers are coding to the standards that I think is appropriate as a professional software developer, which is, again, a whole nother video in itself. But Billy's the first one here. Hey, Billy, thanks very much for joining. And Cord Funk, howdy, CA Studio. How to solve the AdMob's limit issue. So it's always going to be limited. I mean, your AdMob, is it limited intentionally? Have they told you that they're limiting it, or does it just seem like it's limited? So if it's the intentional limitations, then whatever reason they gave you, then that would be what it is. So if it's accidental clicking or whatever, but I think that would be a temporary suspension. But if it's just like you're not getting the fill rate that you expect, and it could just be that there's not enough inventory there, or you could be trying to show too much at one time or something like that. But let me know what it is you're actually you're referring to. Mega Man 2016 is 10th. That's good. Cord Folk says, yo Eric, do you/your designers make prototypes of the apps for your clients before coding them up? Yeah, so we try to do stuff in Adobe XD, although now that I've canceled the Adobe business subscription, we'll probably find another thing. But yeah, we try to do that, or at least, see, in the beginning, we wouldn't do the whole thing, but we would do a couple of pages. So just to get the theme of it right. So we get the theme right, it sells it to the client, and it also sells, the developers can see it. We used to just do the app. So it was like, it looked bad, but we say, oh, but in the end, we'll do the design at the end. And when you do design at the end, it just goes on and on and on. Then it becomes an iterative process, right? But if design is holding up the project, see, the way that I see it is that many times that it used to be that design was holding up going live. So like we did everything works the way that it should, but we do the design, and then they would say, they tell us what they want, but then we're never quite sure because it's such an iterative process. They can't decide on something. They go, maybe we should go back to that other font. Maybe we should use a different background color. Maybe can we go back and see that previous one? And it's just build and build and build, right? And a lot of it has to do with the cold feet of just they don't want to go live, right? And it's very difficult when you're doing design because it's subjective, and it's kind of like you either like it or you don't like it. And when you go, right? Whereas with code, you can say, dude, it's doing everything it should do. It's updating everything it should be updated. That it's you click on that, does that. So what we started to do is flipping around. So we go through from the acquisition the acquisition stage, which is getting the client to make the first payment. Then we go to the design phase, which we got the specification writing and the prototype. And sometimes we don't go through that stage. Sometimes we'll kind of, it depends on the project, but the textbook it's literally in our document. We have a design document. Actually, let me show you guys the design document, because this is a good example of documentation. I'm just going to see if I could bring this over here. So we actually have some process documents. So we have our overpass delivery model, and it evolves it evolves over time. This is see screen share too. This is the so we have a Google Doc, but we print it out as a PDF, and we put some stock images in there and everything. So we got the delivery process. I got my notes here, but the clients never see that. So it was last updated in 2019. So we got the different stages of development. Here we go through. So you see, here we go. So we always start with the design phase first. So this would be the start, where the payment comes first. We have different roles. We have the architect, the designer, developers, project coordinator, which is like a project manager, but not a project manager. The QA teams, clients, project coordinator. So what we'll do is we'll start the project, obviously, but then it goes to the architect, which is usually me. It's me, the one who sits down and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. These are the technologies we're going to use. We're going to, this, and this. And a lot of that was done in the acquisition phase, which is like when we're pitching it. We're saying, okay, we're going to use Flutter, we're going to use Google Cloud Platform, or we're going to use Firebase, or we're going to use whatever system they have. It's going to work on, in your quote, your specification, you have to say what platforms is that going to support. And it could support many. Like you could have an Android app that goes Android, it even works on Android 2, right? It's there's nothing complicated about it. But you're talking about more about testing, right? Because it should work on older versions, but it doesn't. It's the same like when you do a browser-based app. You want to make sure that it's you want to make sure that you specify which browsers you're actually testing. So if they come back to you and say, didn't work in Opera, and you're like, well, the specification didn't have that in there, right? It should work in Opera, it usually shouldn't be anything. If you're using a framework, you shouldn't have too many trouble with that. But anyway, so we go through the architect does a spec. The spec is complete. We get this, and then it goes to the designer. The designer will do the prototype in Adobe XD. Then it goes to the developers. So at that point, it goes to the developers, and this is actually sprints. And the project coordinator is like the bridge between the developers and the clients. So theoretically, a lot of times I'm the bridge, and that's because so occasionally we'll have clients that they prefer to work with me, but really we want them to work with the project coordinator, and it's sort of like it's just really just make sure that things are moving around. There's no outstanding questions, and it's not like a project manager. Because we were going to do it, we were going to have a project manager role in this, and my whole thing is, I don't like project managers. I don't like all the documentation and the Gantt charts and the critical paths, and eventually we just need to get to the point where we're producing software, and we need to make sure that the client is involved every step of the way, and it shouldn't be coming to me. And if the developers have questions, sometimes the developers could go straight to the client, but we try not to encourage that because they ask, sometimes developers ask questions that's scary questions, or questions that are too technical for the client. So to give you an example, and this is the headaches I've had for a lot of today, was we have one developer with a development company that we work with, and he was going straight to the clients, right? And I said, you have to go through the project coordinator, right? You don't go straight to the clients. But he was chasing them for documentation. When is the documentation on the API going to be ready? When's it going to be ready, right? And we're like, they're not his clients. They were my clients, and they said they needed a bit of time to do it. And I said that would be fine. We got other stuff we could do, but he was just jumping in there. And so today I was complaining, I want him off the project, right? It was it was when I saw his code, and I thought, That's it. I want them off the project. But that's kind of stuff. So that's our document. So we, in terms of processes, we do have like this document here, which we do share with the client sometimes, but mainly it's internal. Like how do we work with that kind of stuff. I don't know if that's interesting or not, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, we do the design phase first. Brahma Apps, hey, how's it going? James is here. Hello, James. Billy, sound is great. Cool, thanks. James, where was I? James says, when people come to you with ideas for apps, do you sign their standard NDAs or do you have your own? This is something where I used to sign all their NDAs. Like they would come to me with an NDA, but now I try to just use our own. We have a template, so we have a template that's pre-signed. It's like, it takes time to read an NDA, right? You don't know what's in it. I mean, they're all kind of the same, but like you never know what's in there, right? And it takes time to sit there and do that. And so we have our own NDA, and if they come to us and say they want an NDA, say sure, and we'll send them the NDA. It's already got my digital signature on it, right? All they have to do is fill it in, because I never talk about client projects. I mean, I might talk about in vague terms that we have a client that's in this industry, or client that's industry, or we're doing one that uses this kind of technology, but I never talk about specifically about their apps or their stuff, and I never talk about them with other clients, which is, I'm criticized a lot by, I say people, but I'm criticized a lot by people trying to help me like with the business, because they say you need to have testimony or you need to have like an our clients page, and I don't. I just like, and I try to sell that because I hate it whenever somebody works for Overpass and then I see my app all over their page. I hate that. I hate that when I see my stuff all over their website. So I don't do that to our clients. I just non-disclosure. It's like I don't talk about the clients to other clients or to themselves. Which is probably not good from a sales point of view, which is why some months I white knuckle it. But yeah, I always sign my own. Yeah, use your own NDAs, because then you could read it one time and you know what's in it. And sometimes they'll come back saying, "Could we change this? Could we change this? Could we change this?" And that really depends on how flexible you want to be, right? You could get stuck into a lot of just sludge, right? You know, in order to have this meeting, you have to read this document. They're giving you homework already. You're like, dude, if it's going to take me 20 minutes, or you know, it's going to take me 20 minutes to go through this, or even 10 minutes of unpaid work to go through, so I can have a conversation and find out whether or not we can actually work together, then that's something that's that slows the whole thing down, right? But however, if you have like your own signed NDA, then they can look at it and approve it and do that. So so that's the reason we went that way. And now we do push back. Like in the beginning, because I was so new and I wanted to be helpful. I wanted to help, you know, I didn't want to be like, oh no. So I'd read everybody's NDAs and their terms and conditions. And so now it would just be like, if the project is big enough, then yeah, then I'll do it. Or if it seems like it's going to be big enough. Akil LV says, I taught of watching the live stream, but I feel sleepy due to the non-stop 36 hours work on my new game development. Hell yeah. Good night, all. Good night, Eric. I will watch it later. Cool. Well, I hope you watch it later. So whenever you're watching now, if it's in the future and there's been a nuclear holocaust, like between then and now, just, you know, remember how happy we are right now. Hussein Gokas is here. Hey, how's it going? Shrujan Lukic is here. Evening, guys. Tariq Harvey, what language is your developers coded? It really depends. Like for me, sometimes I'll set the language. So we have some apps that are in Flutter, and that's usually if it's in Flutter, it means that I'm the one who's like saying, this is a Flutter candidate. I want this one done in Flutter, right? And they'll be like, how about React Native? And I'll be like, no. And sometimes the client will say have a preference, but not very often. Most of the time, it's either me or the developers, and sometimes I'll let the developers decide. Like I'll say, because the choice of language, it's a personal preference, but it's also based on the project. So if it's going to be something which requires a high frame rate, then a Cordova-based app is probably not the best way forward. Or if it uses Bluetooth integration for something very specific, and there's not a Cordova plugin or a Dart plugin for it already, then that you know does it. Or lately we're getting a few that are Apple Watch and Android Watch ones, and that's like, it's those ones we need to go native for. So sometimes it's the project itself that dictates it, and then sometimes it's sometimes the developers will be like what they know better, but it always goes through me to decide. Like if they say, like there's certain things I don't want to do. Like I'm just, but I'm the final say when it comes to that. Well, actually, the clients are the final say. So like we had a quote that we put to a client, and I said it's gonna be done in Flutter, and they go, "Why are you gonna use Flutter?" And I go, "Because it's awesome." Right? So I was talking about the high frame rate and the cross-platform and everything, and they were very much a Ionic Cordova shop. So they were like, they wanted to do it in Cordova or Ionic, so we changed it. So it really depends. Let's see. As if gaming says, how to rank your apps on Play Store. Some tips. We got lots of them, and we've done loads of videos over the years. I mean, look at the tenets of ASO are. I always like to group them into ABC. So you got first you need to be found, right? So your app no one's downloading your app. It's either because they don't like it, either they don't like it, they don't see the point in it, or they don't know about it. 99% of the time is they don't know about it. Don't even know it exists. Maybe they're searching for it, maybe they aren't. So how do you, if they are searching for it, if they do know they have the need and they haven't able to find it, then how are they getting to it? If they're going to it and it's a crowded market, like a game or something like that, and there's too many, and you have nowhere near the top of those rankings, then you have to think about the keywords. So it's, and again, the ABC says A, you have to be found, B, you have to be, they have to make the decision to make the download, and C, they have to open and make a purchase, right? So that's the whole way through. So A is usually the thing. Like so, if you check the search history and you check the acquisition report, you can see that you can see whether or not it's showing up. And on Google Play, it doesn't show how many times it shows up in search, but it does show up in the App Store one. So you know where you're ranking, and you can use the ASO tool in App Annie. That's the one I use mostly because it's free and it shows the history and everything. So whatever keywords you're thinking your users are going to look for, think there, and then you have to think how do you actually rank for that. And there's different ways of doing it. You could make sure it's in the title is one. Make sure get a lot of backlinks in. So with Google Play especially, if you have other pages where the link text is going to be the keywords that you want, and it's linking to your application, and that's going to help out. But sometimes it's just like if you're trying to go for something that's everyone's already so well established in, then you might want to think of synonyms for those keywords. So like if mine's going to be fun game, then which is you would never rank well for a fun game unless for some reason you got millions of subscribers, millions of users, downloads, and then that would escalate you up into the rankings for those keywords, but not coming in fresh. So if you can do fun game, you might look for something like something synonymous, that maybe it has lower traffic, that maybe has lower competition, but similar traffic, like say exciting adventure, or that's a bad example. Fun game is a bad example. I'm trying to give a good synonym. But let's say you have a basketball application. So you have basketball, or you can say hoops, or b-ball, or hoop dreams, or whatever. You start thinking about other things that other people could be searching on, even if you can't get that exact target keyword. You still want to have that target keyword in there too, because then if you you want the main popular one in there somewhere, because if you do start to rank, you start to get the downloads from the side keyword, then at least they'll elevate that one up too. But yeah, as of gaming, there's so many different tips and stuff on that. And then so that's the first bit. Are they even able to find it? And if it is showing up in search, and you're still not getting the people going into your page view, which you can use the user acquisition report in Google Play for, if you're still not getting people seeing that page view, then you have to think about what's wrong with your title and what's wrong with your icon, specifically your icon, right? So they're looking at all the icons that come up in search, and if you're in above the fold, then are they not clicking on your icon? And if so, why not? What do the other ones look like? That's it. So it has nothing to do with your screenshot, it has nothing to do with gameplay, whatever. If they're getting to your Play Store page and they're not actually making, and you have a low conversion rate where they're not actually downloading, then I would look at your screenshots in your description, right? But if you're not showing up in the search, then the screenshots are not the problem. The icon, it would be the keywords. If it's not showing up in search, if it is showing up in search, they're not actually clicking through to it. Then it's your icon and your title. From a human point of view, not a machine point of view. But anyway, we could talk about this for hours, and we have many times. But Billy says, did you have any problems with new apps getting indexed last November, December? I have not. No, but a few of my clients have, and I've heard a lot of problems with it. People are not even being indexed for their own app names. Biswajit's here. Hey, Biswajit. Apavelli's here. Hey, happy Friday, Apavelli. I'm really glad to see you're doing daily videos again. How do you plan on increasing revenue for your apps? I need to start. Well, first of all, this year I need to start getting more apps out there. Right? I've been so through my whole app career, people have been saying, why don't you just focus on that one app, because that's the one that brings in all the money, ignore all the rest of them. And I'm like, yeah, I know it was very convincing, and I have the thought that I could just have one application, and then if there's a platform change or I have to set target audience or whatever, I only have to change one thing, and then I can focus on it and give the best user experience for that one application. Right? I don't have to go through and think about all of them at the same time. It was very appealing, but to be honest with you, that top app did get most of my attention, and then it was gone. Then it walked out of my life, left me poor and broken man. But all the other apps are still bringing in revenue. That was one of the things that I did want to make clear on that video about the revenue for 2019, is that the other applications are still bringing stuff in. So, which is good. I'm not going to complain about it. If I'm making 30 or 40 pounds a day, I'm not, that's still pretty good. But hopefully I want to get it back up there, which means I need to put more stuff out there. There's a few things I really need to do, and I keep tinkering with it. One of them is I have all of those language learning games, which after a while Apple started to say, nope, you have to have one app called language learning games. And it was like, no, but I'm targeting these keywords for learn Chinese, learn Vietnamese, learn Spanish, right? So if I just have one title, one description, one everything, then it puts me at a disadvantage for somebody who's only doing one language, because you're making me put them all into the one application. And they're saying, well, this is what you got to do. It was like talking to a brick wall with Apple. So in the end, I was just going to leave them and not ever update them, and it was still doing pretty well. And then GDPR came in, and I had to remove a bunch of them. And in the end, and they just stopped accepting anything, even if it was similar or not. So I have more apps on Google Play than I do on the App Store. I still have those 12 apps on the App Store. And it's still a good money maker. So the one thing I want to do, which I've been just dragging my feet on because I don't want to, that's the really reason why I have not made a container app for all the language games, because I don't want to. First of all, I'm thinking, am I just wasting my time because I'm not going to rank well for these? Or could I do it and then rely a bit more on advertising? So I'm starting to do that. And because the code is, the developers who did the code are long gone. Hopefully they're dead. The original ones. Sorry, I'm kidding. But it was the code is really, it's messy. Even though I think about hiring somebody else to go through it, and I have hired people to go through it, they're just they're completely flummoxed by it. There's multi-dimensional arrays. The variable names are J. So we have nested loops and nested loops and nested loops with the variables the I, J, K, L, M, whatever. And then it's the multi-dimensional arrays. And it's so hard to keep track of the code for that stuff. So all the changes that have happened over the past few years, I'm the one who's been doing them. So I've been coming in on weekends and working on those. And that's something I want to do, just get those out there, just to see if it'll work. I have a few other app ideas I'd like to work on. and I don't want to do them in Corona or in Ionic. I'd like to do them in either Flutter or Native, and probably be Flutter, and just get some more apps out there. Unit codes. Hey, how's it going, Unit codes? Unit codes says love. And Charlie's. I was talking to Charlie yesterday. Where'd it go? Charlie's Dev Life says, talking about apps in the browser. Check out this portfolio. Oh, there's no link there. I think it may have stripped the link out. Unit code says clients are the worst QA. Clients are the worst QA. Lol. Yeah, well, clients are, they want to. It's, a client. The clients want to put something out there that they could be proud of, and they want to be involved in the creative process. And you as a developer kind of just want to create it, right? You're just like, okay, all right, you're getting in the way now. No more changing anything, because we've decided on everything, and they want to be involved, and so it's a delicate balance. But hopefully you get to the point where at the end where they're really happy with it, they're really happy with you. You get the referrals, everything is really good. Fist007 is here. Hey, how's it going? Hi, Fist007. Adam Major is here. Hey, good people. Hey, Adam Major. Unit code says, Eric, could you share that doc with us too? Maybe. Let me think about it. Let me look through it one more time. Because it is kind of like I last year it was over a year ago. It was over a year ago where I came in and I just wrote this process document. And it's kind of unique to the way that I work, right? It was like, there's so many things where I thought, everyone kept saying, oh, you need to have you need to have your use case diagrams, or your, we have sprints and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that we do, but there's some certain things where I just think it's unnecessary and gets in the way. Like I am not impressed with lots of documentation on, that nobody reads, right? I think documentation should be clear, and it should say what it needs to say, right? We don't need to have the addendum of the addendum, and if you've ever worked with so the reason I don't like project managers, is because you see them they go into the same place. You go to work, you sit down at your IDE and you start coding away. They go in to sit down and they don't have anything to do, so they just start putting together documents, and they keep sending to you for you to read, and you're like, or asking questions like constantly, like, how would this work? How would that work? Or how long is that going to take? How much would it cost to do this? How long would it take to do this? And it's like, it's exhausting. You're like, dude, I just have to get on with this work, right? Your job is done. As a project manager, come to me once a day and ask how things are going. So when I did the project coordinator role, it was like, first of all, I didn't want to go hire a project manager who comes and tells me, actually, the Prince 2 methodology says you should do this. Actually, I think you should do this. I was like, dude, I want somebody to keep the ball moving. I want somebody to make sure the trains are running on time. I want somebody to say, okay, to the developers, what did you do today? What are you doing tomorrow? Do you need anything from Eric? What is your expected finish time on this task, right? That's what I want, right? And I just want bam, bam, bam. And I want, if the clients come in and say, I've got this new feature idea, right? I don't want it to go to the developers. I want it to go to the project coordinator, and the project coordinator can discuss it with the architect, who is me, by the way. But then we can discuss it and decide whether or not is it scope creep, or is it a bug fix? Is it if it is scope creep, is it acceptable? Is it something that we can put in there without having to charge them more? If it's something like a label change or something, move something around, or is it something that's fundamental, right? If we take it to the developers freak out. They freak out because they're like, is this something we're doing? I don't know what we're doing. Moving the goalposts, all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't go to the developers, it goes to me, and then I can decide whether or not we're going to do it. And that's a conversation we need to have with the client about whether or not we're going to do it. But it was getting to the point where I was getting like daily emails or phone calls from clients saying, I was talking to my friend Dave the other day, and he has this new idea that, he was saying that maybe we should do this, and then I talked to my friend Susan, and she said maybe we should do this, and I was like, dude, we're done with we've done the design phase, we have the specification. I get that this would make the app better, but it's going to add to the cost, and then then it's like, and sometimes it could be like, oh, but we mentioned that we might want to do this in the future. I said, yeah, but that's not in the spec. It's not in the scope. We talked about a lot of things, right? We talked about, yeah, maybe it could be machine learning, and maybe it could line the planets, and maybe it could, you know, detect music and facial recognition, all this stuff. But when we drilled down to what we could afford with this project, none of that made it in. So then that's something I find a lot when we have scope creep. It's like, but we did talk about it. We did mention it. You know, it's like we talked about it. You know, we said that was going to go in there. It's like if it's not in the spec, it ain't in the spec, and that's difficult because you either get them like they either understand with like if you clear and or they think you're trying to cheat them somehow. I'm like, dude, man, yeah, that's gonna be way too much. So that's the project coordinator. The project coordinator is the buffer between the developers, me, and the client, and then also they're the ones to make sure that the client always knows what's going on. One of my big things that I don't like is if somebody calls me up saying, I haven't heard from you for a while. Where are we on this project that we're paying all this money for, right? It's like, that should never happen. What they should be doing is getting weekly updates. And then for a while I was like, let's do daily updates. They should be getting weekly updates on what's going on, at least. And I hope that they are. I'll have to check on that. Let's see. Unit Codes also says, also, do you use DocSign for Adobe for your own NDA sign off? No, I just use, for my own sign off, we just use a digital signature in what am I doing? In the Mac preview, the preview one where you do the signature, the annotation. So I just do that. We save it as PDF. We send it to them, and they could sign it and scan it and send it back as a digital file. But we don't use DocuSign or anything. I've looked into DocuSign. I spent far too much time looking at DocuSign, thinking this will be really cool because then they can sign it online and everything. But I'm not that. Yeah, it's not worth the cost of it. You know, there's no sense adding that cost onto it. Let's see. Fist77 says, tomorrow is Amazing New Year, North African Ancestral Calendar. So Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy Ancestral, North African Ancestral Calendar New Year. Cordsfolk says, yo, Eric, do you charge more for a native app versus a Cordova-based app? Yes. Yeah, we do. Because we have to do it twice, usually. I mean, very rarely do we have... Well, actually, sometimes. We have somebody... Sometimes they'll say they just want one platform. Adam Major says... Let's see. Leon Smith, this one was blocked by YouTube, says, for all the developers interested in machine learning and classifying digits and drawings, then check out my new app called Inscribe, Handwriting for ML. There you go. That's from Leon. And he said it again here, but I think it was blocking it. Let's see. Mega Man 2016 says, hey Eric, have you upgraded your iOS apps to use dark mode yet? No, I haven't. Because we're using frameworks for a lot of stuff, so I haven't really bothered doing it. And no, but we did have, well, actually the native iOS app. We have one client native iOS app that once I started to run it, I was in dark mode, and then you have like a blank screen, right? So I had to go back to the developers and say, you get a blank screen, and they're like, they're going, we don't get a blank screen, and I go, well, I am, right? And then it's down to me to go through and play around with settings, and I find out, okay, it's because I was in dark mode. And they go, oh, okay. And I said, and you need to fix that. Because if I just say I was in dark mode, they go, oh, okay, all right. That makes sense. Because you're in dark mode, that's why you have a blank screen. I was like, yeah, but you're still going to fix it, right? I can't, like, make it like a thing. Like I said, well, it doesn't work in dark mode. So that's something I have to look after. Like, if you're testing an iOS app these days, especially a native app, you have to, like, check it in dark mode and light mode and everything. And ideally, check it as many as you can. Appavelli says, how do you plan on marketing your apps this year? What I want to do is get more paid apps out there. Last year, when I showed them the revenue report, I talked about how we got to the point where, dude, the ads were working. Like, they were working, like, so we raised the price of Ear Agent. I think it was like $5.99. I raised it up to $9.99. And then I started running ads on it. So then I was looking at the cost per install, And even though it was running thousands of ads, the cost per install was like, you know, £2-3. So I was making profit off of it, right? It was like if I ever tried to run ads off of a free application with ads, it just doesn't work financially, unless you're just going for increased ranking. So that's something I was like thinking, and I've been talking to other people who are in the same way, that like they only have paid apps out there. And that's what got me doing it, right? And then just as soon as I started to pick up some momentum, they removed it, they suspended it, and then they reinstated it, and then they suspended it again. So it was and in the end it was just like, dude, man, I'm so tired of this. I'm so tired of this whack-a-mole thing. My ranking's gone down because it's been off the store for so long. I've got to deal. Yeah, I've still got to compile it to 64-bit, in the end, it was just like, dude, you win. Google, you win, right? I'm just gonna give it to you, but it's still there in the background, which I might go through and do it again. At least there's still revenue coming in, and thank God my account wasn't suspended or anything like that. Because in the end, I was like, it's strange when you have an app like EarSpy, especially when it was called EarSpy for like several years, and they go, we're going to remove your app because it condones spying. And I'm like, what? Condones spying? EarSpy? No. So I changed the Ear Agent, and they're going, and then they said, okay, we suspended your app because it condones spying. I'm like, what? No, it doesn't. But it doesn't do anything, right? It's just the marketing and the icon. Like the icon has spy on it, right? So then I released it a third time, and with everything was like new icon, new everything. I still had the download, like the previous install number, so I still had really good ranking on it. And it was there for a few weeks before they suspended it again. And I thought, you know what? I give up. I'm just right. Now, if it was something completely different, like if it wasn't actually a spy one, like it's like one of those things, I can argue my point as much as I want, right? But it was like in the end, it was like, okay, there might be a little bit of validity to it. There might be a little bit of validity to it. However, not if they're releasing the same app, like for the platform that does the same thing, which was my idea initially. And now it's the copycats all over the place, and oh God, you guys get me all mad. But anyway, yeah, sorry, Apple Valley, I don't know, I'm going off on that tangent. Muhammad Ali says, hey Eric, I recently published my second app. How can I improve my AdMob's traffic in app? Your AdMob traffic in the app, I mean, it's really getting the download traffic is the thing you have control over. And make sure that you have enough ads showing, right? So if you're showing interstitials, make sure when you show the interstitial, as the interstitial closes, you're preloading the next one, right? So, which is because it's asynchronous, so you're preloading the next one, which means your match rate will be lower, or your impressions would be lower than your request rate, which is normal, right? So you should have one in the barrel. You shouldn't have to do it all at the same time. So that was one thing that really helped for me. Because you're not being paid for the preloaded one, but it's there because if they do go to the next stage, then you have it loaded ready to show. If they don't show it, the person taking out the ad doesn't pay for it, and you don't get paid for it. But at least you don't have that thing. What you don't want to happen is doing it synchronously, where it's loading, it's getting from the web and then loading it, because then you get that situation where if you have a slow internet connection, it's showing up, it's popping up out of nowhere, and then you don't have the and it's not in a transition, so they can accidentally click it and then you get suspended for that. Let's see. Unit code says try implementing Google Analytics and improve your D1, D2, D28 retention using A/B testing. That's a better answer than mine. Sounds very technical. Hamish Rankin says, I was a guy you met at the park in England. Oh, Hamish, how's it going? So Hamish, I was in that video goes out on Saturday. However, Hamish, when I went back and looked at it, it was out of focus for some reason. That camera, I went from automatic focus to manual focus. So when I looked at that footage, it was all blurry, so I couldn't use it with you guys in it. And it was really cool. So I was filming in Cheltenham, just want to pick up my son, so I'm doing the daily video. So I was like sitting in the park and I filmed it, and Hamish and some of his friends came up, and they're like, I guess 12, 13, 14, something like that. And they were like, "Are you a YouTuber?" And I think, well, I don't think anybody's ever called me a YouTuber before, but yeah, yes I am. I'm a very famous YouTuber. All over the world, people know me. So and then we filmed a little bit with them in it, but it was like out of focus, so I couldn't use it. However, if you look at the last shot on Monday, there's like your guys are in the background, but it's kind of like the last outro thing. But it's good to see you, Hamish. Let's see. Rodrigo, another reminder to hit the like button. That's right. Thanks, Rodrigo. Everybody smash that like button. Oh, let me remember to tell you guys this. I know I'm going to forget. I should have said it at the beginning. Is next week we're not going to have a live stream. Next week I'm traveling to Bratislava, Slovakia. It's my first ever trip. This is going to be Eric the Traveler. I've always wanted to travel places like I've never been. Last time I went anywhere was to Hanoi and the Philippines 2 years ago. And that was for business. That was meet with developers, and this is just going to be a weekend. I'm going on Thursday. I'm going to Bratislava. I've got a cheap flight. I spent 20 quid on a flight. I got an Airbnb. I'm just going to go and, but I'm going to bring the camera and film some stuff over there. But anyway, we won't have the live stream because I have no idea what the internet connection is going to be like next week. And everyone smash that like button. Let's see. Charlie's Dev Life says, "Oh, I think I know why you weren't getting my links, because they're disappearing." Yeah, if you put links in there, sometimes they don't show up. So you might have to, yeah, what are we doing? Try to put the link in quotation marks. See if that does anything. I'm not sure if it will. Rohit Goswami says, "Hey Eric, are paid downloads / reviews good? What are the upsides and downsides of it?" I don't think you can do paid reviews. I mean, well, it's against the terms and conditions to do paid reviews. I've had clients ask me that. What if we give them we unlock something if they leave a good review? And you just can't. And people do it, and I'm sure there's people who do it and don't get caught. But I'm always afraid that if I do it, it'll be, I always think that they're gonna find out somehow. This is one of those things where I do not want my account suspended. I don't want any of my apps suspended. Any more of my apps suspended. So I don't do that, and you shouldn't actually. You shouldn't actually do it. Now, when you talk about paid downloads, if you're actually paying somebody to download it, then you can't do that. But if you're talking about paid downloads in terms of acquisition, so you're running an ad with a good cost per install, then that is allowed, because you're basically running an ad and they're making a decision to download it, and you're paying based on on them actually doing the download. So, but if you're saying you're paying a click farm to download it, then no, you shouldn't be doing that either. I don't know how risky it is, but to me, it's I'm not willing to find out. Let's see. Muhammad Ali says, "I'm afraid about my future as an iOS developer because there's Flutter, all the Flutter things." Dude, you'll be fine, right? I think as an iOS developer, there's just gonna be some people who just want native. It's always gonna be and do you know who's not gonna let Flutter take over from iOS? iOS. I think if Flutter gets too popular, then they'll change something. They'll put something new in iOS, right? And we talk about other use case scenarios like the Apple Watch, things like that, where iOS Swift and Objective-C, they just make much more sense. Let's see. Elaf Ahmed says, "I have a brilliant idea for an app." Yeah, cool. You can share it here. Maybe somebody will help you, but we hear that a lot. Vishnu Singh says, "Hello, sir. My developer account, I have 2 suspended apps. If I get another suspension, will my developer account be terminated?" Let's see. It's apparently it's 3 suspensions and your account suspended supposedly. But I've had 4 suspensions. I think I may have even had more. But they haven't been in the same period of time. So I think it has to do with the period of time. Because I haven't seen anything in documentation that says that. All I know is from what we hear from other developers. I did a video a couple years ago where I asked whether or not that's a superstition, and some people say no, it's real. It's real. 3 suspensions and your account suspended, but yeah. So I'm not really sure. Also, do you know how any good AdMob sorry, I lost it. Do you know any good AdMob? I lost it. I'm gonna have to. So after, oh my god, after Amin Abdullahi's Abdullahi's comment, we're gonna have to stop because I need to go. I have to go cook. I'm cooking tonight. I have to make pork chops. Make pork chops. Usually it's pizza night because of the live stream, but I gotta get going. Otherwise, I'm gonna be, let's see. I'm gonna put a comment in here. This will be the last question. So anybody after this? Sorry. Okay, so we'll see if we go through these. Anyway, what was it? The other follow-up question. Also, do you know of any good AdMob alternative? So Facebook Audience Network, I hear really good things about. I've used it a bit. But I haven't found it to be as good as AdMob. Also, App11. So if you get an AdMob suspension, and so like when I had an AdMob suspension on EarSpy, I had App11, but I had like a high floor because it just didn't seem like it was worth going to App11. Yeah, it was App11. I was trying to think. Yeah, so it was App11. But when they removed the when they disabled the ads through AdMob, it was the mediation still worked. So you saw this big spike in App11. So that was like a really good use case for having a mediation in your app. So if you do get like a suspension, then at least you have something else take over and you have other revenue growing someplace, right? Without having to re-release the app or whatever, right? But the downside of using a lot of, so in the early days I was like, I included I had monetization, I had ad mediation for like loads of different ad networks, but it was like I had to keep track of all these SDKs, and they were like, oh, we have an update to this SDK and update this SDK, and you never know what they're doing behind the scenes, and so in the end I just kind of stuck with AdMob. My ECB AdMob is very low, 33 cents. How can I increase it? If you're talking about banner ads, I think that's about standard. Probably. I mean, and so if I would use more interstitials. Let's see. Cord says, what do you do with nested loops in a language app? It's like, dude, if so, you shouldn't have nested loops. So let's say you're doing rows and columns, for example, like. You have the springboard thing, and they got we got three rows, 4 icons per column. So it's like outer loop, inner loop, outer loop, inner loop. The outer loop is the row, the inner loop is a column. So that kind of stuff, So those nested loops, and then sometimes I have other stuff too. So I'll be like, but it's not just that. There's other things too. You always have nested loops, but you try not to. I remember once, so back in the day, I remember working on a web app at the BBC, and they were complaining about it. Was like I was a contractor coming in, so they put me on this project. I was kind of intimidated because it was like a media company, and they were like, everything was really fancy. So at first I was like, I hope I can do this. And I looked at the code it is an ASP code. And he needed to find a random image from a database. So he had a code that would say he would select everything from the table, loop through it so he get a count of it. Like he didn't do select count, he looped through it, and then he would select a random integer within that count, and then he would select again to get that ID, and then he would display it. So we had like all these database connections opening and closing, and all he had to do was select, and order by, I think it was order by new ID. So if you order by new ID, it was a random integer, and it just, it was like I was able to replace like a load of code which was really inefficient with one SQL query. And sometimes when you see these nested loops, you look at it, you're like, God, what are they doing? Because sometimes nested loops, like you have to do them. Sometimes you don't. It's just being sloppy, being lazy. Elaf Ahmed says, I have a great idea for an app, but I don't have money. I think about taking an online course for making apps. Any suggestions? Yeah, I mean, you could take an online course. It depends on if you know what it is you want to do. You can take an online course if you don't have the money, or you could partner with somebody probably, but a lot of app developers aren't really interested in the whole, new idea thing. Like when somebody comes to me with they have an app idea and they want to partner on it, it's not so much that I don't believe in the idea. It's like, wait, so I'm going to be the one doing all the work, and you just say, you know, like I don't want an ideas man. That's my thing. It's like I don't want somebody saying, you know, I got that big idea, and the other day I had another idea, and I think we could do this with the app. So just code that away. Just do that, right? And then we'll share the profits. And like, dude, you know, I'm the one in the books. I'm the one in the code. I'm the one who's like learned how to do all this kind of stuff. And you can't pick up a book to learn the basics, right? You can't even, you know, you can't even do so much as go and get coffee. Like you're the ideas man. Oh. Am I bitter? Am I bitter? This is a new me. New me this year. 2020 Eric is going to be bitter and nasty. Simon Muller, Guten Brun. Hey Eric, how do you store user data and how do you guarantee compliance with GDPR? So a lot of our apps are just hosted on the application. So we don't, if we have something where, if we have a database of user information, to be honest with you, our clients have that kind of stuff. And when it comes to GDPR, I think that's down to them. For me, GDPR is like making sure that if we're serving ads, like in my own applications, if we're serving ads, they have to have the consent for that. If they have their own GDPR policy, the clients, then you know, a lot of times they'll include their terms and conditions in it. But for me, it hasn't really affected me personally too much. I know it's a bad answer. I should have better examples than that. But I'm trying to think of, yeah, a lot of them are like, you know, they'll have their own policies in place, and I don't necessarily do it from within the application. Or like if we're using something like, yeah, if we're using a frame, like if we're using gameplay game services, we're not storing that data. We're not processing that data. That's being done by Google. If they're using social media login, then we're not. If we're not storing it, then I think we're okay. God, yeah, I hate talking about legal stuff. GDPR. Whew. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna say the wrong thing. Christian Mihai says, "Hello, hey Christian, how's it going?" Let's see. MD Shahjad said, "Hi sir, I have 200,000 clicks per day, but earning $80 per day. Is it bad, or should I be making more money on AdMob?" Again, it depends on what country it's in. It depends on where are the ads actually being displayed. That's a lot of clicks a day though. 200,000 clicks a day is a lot of clicks for $80. 200,000 clicks. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. I think it depends on the location of the ads and the quality of the ads. Laporta D says, "Is this a startup or something? It feels like a management class for a tech company." Oh, are you new to the live stream? I never know how people find the live stream. I just assume that their subscribers come. But I suppose if you just happen to find the live stream, yeah, we're an app. So my name's Eric. I make apps. I'm an app development company called Overpass, and we talk about apps on this channel a lot. And I have my own applications. We do apps for clients. We do and we look at other people's apps on this channel too. Borama app says, "How do you deal with scope creep when it's really not a simple change and your client thinks it is a simple change?" That's where it gets tricky. That's where you have to be like, we can do that. Yeah, sometimes you just have to explain what it is. Like if they don't understand that something is like to add okay, so a good example of this. Here's a really good example. This comes up again and again and again. Let's say you have something where you have a form and you press a form and it gets inserted into the database. And then they say, "Oh, but actually it needs to be approved by somebody. So rather than just go in the database, the manager should be able to approve it," right? To the client, for some reason, it seems like an easy thing to do. To the developer, you're thinking, whoa, we have this whole other fundamental restructuring problem. because it doesn't just get submitted to the database. It gets submitted to the database with a status of pending, and then it goes to a line manager. And who is the line manager of the person actually doing that, right? So we have to store a hierarchy of information about who that is and who's going to maintain that. We have a whole admin site, so I can say what the management hierarchy is. And they say no, but if it's John, it goes to Dave, and if it's Dave, it goes to whatever. It's like, dude, the program, we can't hard code that in, right? It's got to be something else. So that's something, and then if they go through and if they approve it, it goes into the database. What if they reject it? What if they spend too long doing it? What if how do they get notified? You know, it's like a whole load of things, and for them, it's just an offhand comment. That's a good example of scope creep, which just kills. Like, you're like, dude, we can't do it. That's something. You know, that's a fundamental change. Like, you have put complications in the structure. And sometimes, as a developer, you guys know that you do something. If you do something elegantly, it's nice, right? You do something like, dude, it's elegant. It moves from here, from this status to this status to this status, right? And along the way, it does this, and this, and then they go, yeah, but sometimes it might need to do this, and sometimes it might need to do this. So I think somebody should, and a lot of times they'll go through and start introducing steps into the process, or ugly, gooey things. And I mean gooey like interface things. Like, we'll have another button here that says this, and all of a sudden, and sometimes I will push back about that. Like, even though it's not my app, like, we're just building it, I'm like, dude, that's complicated. All of a sudden, you took something that was like easy to understand, and you're introducing a complicated step into it. You're implementing something that I couldn't even explain in one sentence, right? Yeah, you're saying something that's like, you know, because of an outlying case, right? That is always happens, right? If anything, you know, if that were to be the case, then you need to find something else to do it, because you're making everybody go through more hoops because of a small group of people need to do something different. If that was necessary, then I think we should identify who those are, and then who those people are who need to go the other way, and they can go to a profile page and set it that way and do it, whatever. But that's a good example of scope creep, and it comes up a lot, and that kind of stuff. And other stuff where they think it might be difficult to be like, you know, can we change the icon? You're like, yeah, we can change the icon. give us a new icon, we can change it, or whatever. Or, you know, rather than say that, like a pop-up when they want to change the text on it, they go, ooh, can we do that? You're like, yeah, I suppose we could change the language in that pop-up. Unless it's multilingual, then it does get a little bit more complicated. Elaf Ahmed says, the idea for my app is I want to make is fixing a problem I suffer from, and I think millions like me. We need to fix this. We need an app to fix the problem. Cool. Like I said, if you want to share it here, then maybe somebody will build it. But if you want to profit from it, then you might need to think that. So Unbanned says, I'm 30 minutes late, but I'm here. Dude, I started 30 minutes late. Elias Sierra says, Eric, how much budget do you invest in promoting your new apps, and how do you allocate between paid apps and ASO? I think the ASO should be something that you're just always tinkering with, right? It's not something you actually pay for. And for me, I think I spend more time on to be honest with you, I spend more time on the ASO for the free apps, because I think if people find them, they're more likely to make the download and actually enter the world that way. So, and however, recently I've been meeting people who have paid apps, and they're doing really well with just a paid app. So I started to question whether or not so if you have huge download numbers, and I mean, that's good, right? So you get them in there, and if you have a paid app, they make a decision right then and there whether or not they're going to make the purchase. If you have a free app with in-app purchases or subscriptions, they download it, and you have several opportunities to get them to decide whether or not to make the purchase. And sometimes they might not ever, but they wouldn't have done it on the paid version either. And it doesn't cost you anything to get them in there, right? It's not like you're hosting it, well, unless you are actually hosting a backend. Then you would be, charge something. Can you give some examples of libraries you use, please? I use the Wantage Public Library. I use the Oxford Public Library. I use libraries. I use loads of libraries, like in Node.js. Well, yeah, it depends on the language and stuff. Julio Cruz says, "Hey Eric, hi Eric, where's your beer?" I don't have one yet. It's early. We'll see. But yeah, maybe I'll go out later tonight. I don't know. It depends. Depends on how I feel. I do need to get home and start making dinner here really quick. LA Studio says, "Hey Eric, what's the reason some apps become more popular on the United States when compared to other countries?" It's very difficult to tell why somebody gets busy. Like, I mean, the language thing is easy because when we made Earspy multilingual, I did like the top 10 languages, and Thai was one of them. And for some reason, it shot up in Thailand. It was like the #3 medical app in Thailand. I think it was the #1 medical app in Thailand, and that had to do with the fact that it had a huge number of downloads, which probably nothing to do with medical, but some people could have gone into the medical category and saw what it was. So, I'm not quite sure. Laporta D says, "My video shut down. My question answered." Was my question answered? Is this an app company? Yeah, we're an app company. Yep, we're an app company. You can't see them, but there's like 100 developers over there in the next room. They're just typing away. You guys can go home now. But yeah, we're an app company. So yeah, I run a small app company. Let's see. I'm thinking of starting another mobile game company, but hate ads. Everybody hates ads. Nobody likes ads. Even people who make ads try to convince you that no, people like ads if they're personalized, and I disagree with that. Nobody likes ads at all, but that's what pays the bills, right? Unit code says they make Earspy cry 2.0. Yeah, I probably should. Sir, how many employees do you have? So I don't have any employees. I have had employees, but I have so as MD Shahjad asked how many employees do I have, but I have a team. I have teams overseas. So a lot right now. Because it was such a tough year, like towards the end of the year, I did start the year with like, I think I had 5 people in the Philippines, 5 or 6 people in the Philippines, and I finished the year off with just one, which is Rowena. So she's working with me, and then we work with Indian development teams and just like project-based work. So we're trying to keep things as lean as possible, which is a plus and a minus. The plus is that our risk is low, so I don't have to worry about keeping people busy all the time. The management's easier, obviously, but it's also we get clients who say, "Well, what happens if you get hit by a bus, Eric?" Or "Why is your company so small?" And it's like, I don't like to say small. I like to say lean. A small, lean. What are you talking about? Kumar Ashok Singh says, "Hi Eric, please make a video on or start a series on Apreneur." I've always hated the term Apreneur. So it's okay to use it, but it's just like one of those awkward words. Apreneur, and how to practically build a app startup by creating a new startup app and showing every step you do. That might be interesting. Cordfunk says, "Yo Eric, yo Cordfunk, we should do an app challenge. Make an app in 2 weeks. Whatever you got, that's what you publish. Then you do a video showcasing all the people that took part." That would be cool. Yeah, that would be good. It would almost be like it'd be like a hackathon type of thing. It was like, oh, you gotta put it live, even if it crashes. John Mollahan says, "Hey Eric, when do you go to Starbucks and order coffee, and they ask you for your name? Do you say, 'My name is Eric and I make apps'? Please try it next time." Yeah, okay. It would just be weird. It's like, but I do find it difficult. Like if I'm in a meeting and I say, "I'm Eric, I make apps," and I'm like, it just rolls off the tongue. Let's see. Even though like they don't know what I'm talking about, like it's like an inside joke just to me. So Corflex says also a good exercise is lightning scope creep. Good. Oh yeah, limiting scope creep. Yeah, doing a fix like using Parkinson's law and just limiting the time that you have, or avoiding the temptation to increase the scope of the app. Yeah, that's it. Fist 7 out of focus, huh? Unit code says, "Damn, that AdMob dollar's coming in vacation." Is that for you? Is it your AdMob dollars coming? AdMob dollars coming in. Unit code says, "Just waiting for you to post that vacational selfie." Yeah, I'm gonna go to Bratislava, and I'm like, it's just gonna be me by myself, and in the daytime I'll probably be out I don't know. I want to go without a plan, which means I'll probably just end up wandering around aimlessly. But yeah, because I'm not a very social person. But I might go out and check out the nightlife too. We'll see. But I'm just I think I just want to go somewhere. I want to go someplace and just be like, yeah, just explore. Let's see. Amy. So where was I? Amin Abdullahi says, hi Eric, how to write a privacy policy for my app. If I use camera in the app, for example, and I mention it, what do you think about the privacy policy generators? Privacy policy generators don't usually ask questions about whether or not you use a camera. So I'm not sure if that's really, is that necessary? Because if they're taking pictures, it's mainly about the data that you use. I mean, I would imagine the privacy policy, why don't they ask that? Probably because it's still considered your personal data, right? So that's the last question. Record folks, always change your slogan to always hungry for pizza. So that was the last questions, but I'm going to go through, make a video as traveling. Yeah, I do. Star News, yeah, I do want to make one traveling. Julian says, are there any topics to avoid when making an app or game? Let's say if I wanted to make an Android game which makes fun of politicians, is there any chance that I would get banned by the store? It's possible. If it's means, so we had an app that we did for a client that for App Store, which they rejected because they said it was mean-spirited, which was like, what? In a way, it wasn't, but it was like just a weird thing to show out there. It was like so subjective. So it's possible. I probably depend a lot on if that politician or if those people complained. Bro, he's not answering more questions. Yeah, sorry, MD shut it. Yeah, sorry, Julian. That was like, I didn't answer that question. But yeah, I need to go. Let's see. So Fossil Test says hello. Cordfunk says, but just because you want to support my political party or any possible risk. So that's it. So I'm gonna have to go. Eric, live streams have higher discoverability than uploaded video. YouTube recommends those who don't know you, especially when you're live stream and they follow similar channels. Oh, really? There could be people here who've never seen the channel before? God, I wish I wore a better shirt. Jeez, ooh, now we'll get stage fright. Thanks for that, unit codes. There are many violent protests going on right now in my country, and the other day I saw some game related to that theme. Yeah, I did have a friend who released one that was about the slave trade, and that got rejected from Apple. It got pulled from Apple. So I think it could be. Ariel says, Mr. Ruley. Ooh, I like it, Mr. Ruley. Mr. Ruley is my dad. Mr. Ruley, you started the year quite strong. I feel like one video every 2 days. It's one video 5 days a week I've done. I guess that means less gym time. I hope that also muscles don't go away. Dude, Ariel, I've been going to the gym every morning. I didn't go Monday morning, but I did go this morning. So I'm trying to get into the waking up early and getting to the gym thing. The reason I was late today was because I went to go look at some apartments. So I'm going to be moving to a new place, which is like in another town. And one of the things I'm looking for is how close it is to a gym, so I could get to the gym every day there too. But yeah, that's the one thing this last year where I've been, like, when business got slow, I got muscly. Like I was just went to the gym because I was like, gee, I'm just, but yeah, don't worry, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't want to stop going to the gym because it's gotten to the point now where people are commenting on it, just like when I go out, and I've never been the guy with muscles before, ever. Like it's just a weird. I've always been either the slightly overweight guy or, when I was fit, I was just skinny because I go running all the time. And that's kind of, now I feel like my voice should be deeper. I should be more alpha. Anyway, I gotta get going. Sorry. This is a violation of unknown rules. Yeah, so cause 30 minutes. Longest 30 minutes I've ever experienced. No. Oh, crap, it's been an hour. I gotta go. I put baked potatoes in the oven an hour and a half ago. Any ways to make it easy? Cycling report, violation of no rules. Good is so complex. Yeah, I know it's really difficult. Your app is violating this and that, man. It took me so long to learn Unity 3D, and now I've got so many troubles. Yeah, keep at them. Cycling report, this is going to be the last thing I say. Except for Laporta says, ads or IAPs for games. Use in-app purchases if you can. Ads, try them both. Go with the one that pays more, ultimately, but go with the one that pays more. But if you had to choose between the two of them, like if they both paid the same, go with in-app purchases. and cycling report says your app is violence, this and that. Now I know how many troubles get published, the aspect of it. Yeah, publishing is a whole nother ball game, and like, so, but don't despair. Keep appealing. Keep going forward. And if you have to make the changes you have to make, then do that, right? Because you could do that. This is Classic Scope Creep. And that's it. Okay, that's I gotta go home. I gotta go those potatoes in the oven and a bunch of angry kids, and so make the dinner, make those pork chops. Thanks to everybody for joining the live stream this week. Like I said, we're not going to be doing the live stream next week because I will be in Bratislava, Slovakia, and I don't know what I'll be doing. I'll be wandering around aimlessly, but it should be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. And then we'll be back with the live streams the following week. We'll be doing the daily videos. We got one going out. I've got 2 of them filmed already for Monday and Tuesday. And throughout the week, I'll probably keep going ahead. I'm trying to be ahead a few days so that we have time to do all the optimization of the videos and everything. But yeah, I'm trying to keep up the five a week habit, and because I feel like I have more energy. I feel like at least I'm doing something, and I really enjoy getting out there doing it. It's not a chore in any way, shape, or form. So anyway, thanks very much for joining the live stream. I gotta go make dinner. No more talking. All right, talk to you guys next time. Have a good weekend.